Welcome to what I'm calling Getting to Know More About Our FSA Corporations and Sponsored Ministries. As you know, FSA has 5 corporations and several sponsored ministries. A few months ago, leadership initiated conversations like the one we're having today to give our sisters and associates an opportunity to learn from and to interact with the president or manager of these organizations. Today, we are going to hear about the Sisters House from our own Sister Kathy Cahill and some of the women who work very closely with her and are very much a part of the ministry of the Sisters House. So welcome, Kathy, and welcome to the women who will assist you in your presentation.
Thank you, Odette. This is very exciting to be on there. When you said conversations with the presidents or managers, or it went to, well, what am I? And the title that we came up with at one of the advisory circle meetings was Big Sister, which I really wasn't crazy about because it gets abbreviated with BS. So I'm just part of one of the sisters here. And as the Franciscan sisters know, back in 2018, leadership put out a request for ideas of how to use the Perry Avenue Convent. And at the time, I was like, oh, I don't know. But anyway, this idea came to me, and I called together a group of women to just think about and talk about, what if we use this as a place for women in recovery. Now that would mean women in 12-step programs and people whose lives have been affected either directly or indirectly by addiction. And people involved in recovery are involved in 12-step programs, which are very spiritual. And it's all based on reliance upon God, about being honest with yourself, and about reaching out to other people. And so what if we had a place where women could gather like that? So we brought together a group of women to consider a proposal. And so Maureen Connors, if you would unmute yourself and just tell us a little bit about that process of what we went through. I asked Maureen to facilitate us because I had wonderful experience with Maureen at the center.
Thank you, Kathy. I'm delighted to be here today, and I do have to leave early because I'm facilitating a program at the center later this afternoon. Joyce Rupp's reading today in Anchors for the Soul reminds us that we all have little Easters when new life is born. And when I was really flattered and honored to facilitate the heartstorming session that we had on with a group of amazing women on October 13th, 2019, I saw the sisters' home that I had been visiting for over 20 years get new life in front of my eyes. Our hearts were really burning that day. And then 2 months later, on December 14th, 2019, the group gathered to discern their involvement and to make their commitments to what was now named Sisters House. As you will learn today, the commitments the women made that day have continued to create new life in spite of the pandemic.
Thank you, Maureen. And that, just a small correction on the date for the timeline. Those conversations were in 2018. And then we submitted a proposal to the congregation, and there were other proposals at the same time. And in 2019, in November, we got word from leadership that the Sisters House was a go. And so what we'd like to do now is give you a little tour via photographs of the Sisters House. And Lois, if you unmute and tell us about the outside of the Sisters House.
Thanks, Kathy. First, let me say this is really wonderful to be here with all of you today. It's the Sisters House has been such a blessing and such a gift to me, and I think I speak for all the other women involved with this when I say that. It's you know, especially this past year as the pandemic wore on, and it's and changed everything about the way we live and meet together and all of that. It's just been a real refuge for myself, and to go there and have the beauty and peace that's there. It's a very special place. So this is one of our volunteers who has been beautifying the front there with the there's been a lot of mulching and weeding and trimming, tree trimming going on for the past year, really. Right away, someone donated some croton plants that were planted along the back of the house and in the gardens out front. And another volunteer brought her pressure washer in, and she pressure washed the house and all the walkways around the house and the porch on the back, the screen porch on the back. There were women trimming you see them here, trimming the crepe myrtles, the palms and other trees, and then all the weeding and watering and TLC that it takes to sometimes keep these things happy and growing. So it's just been a team effort all along, with many people volunteering to do all of that. One of the volunteers even found a little turtle family living in the front garden that she kind of took under her wing and nurtured along until they were mature, and we haven't seen them this year. I haven't seen them this year anyway. And then Kathy took it on herself to compost and plant an herb garden right out front in the front by the kitchen door. This is the Sister Ignatius swing that was moved from a tree that was diseased, I guess, over by the pavilion behind the Franciscan Center. And one of our women took it on her as her responsibility to have it relocated over here. And it's sitting on the porch, and seeing that right behind. We in recovery have a real appreciation and a lot of gratitude to Sister Ignatia, who was played a pivotal role up in Akron, Ohio, when our recovery programs first were founded. And to sit on that porch or sit in the swing right there and have that reminder of and commemorate Sister Ignatia is just a really special thing. And then on the I can't see it on that picture, but there's a brand new little squirrel-proof bird feeder that was hung on the tree that's the closest one there, the skinny one right behind the oak tree. And there were several of us on the porch yesterday that were having lunch, and this little woodpecker discovered it, and I felt like was having lunch with us as he made several trips back and forth between the bird feeder and wherever he went to finish his meal. So, and the thing that I think on the porch too, there's been some projects out there, as I mentioned, the pressure washing that was done, and there's one of the tables had chairs that were pretty tattered and worn from years of use, I'm sure. And one of the ladies took those and had the seats reupholstered. You can sort of see them in the background back there, the fancy ones to the right-hand side of the screen. You know, I would dare say that probably the porch has been the most used room of the house over the past year when COVID came and we had to stop meeting there inside the house. The porch has been used for many things, you know, small meetings and get-togethers, step work with sponsors, quiet place to read, and prayer and meditation. We've all been there many times. And Jill and I were talking the other day about how grateful we are and the meaning that porch has brought to our lives over the past year. And we sort of a poem evolved out of that. So I want to just go ahead and sum it up with this poem. And surprisingly, it's called The Sister's House Porch. Come be, come sit with me in this place of peace and serenity. The Sister's House Porch where we are free. Yes, here we are, just free to be. Let's share some time on this hallowed ground, a kaleidoscope of God's sights and sounds. Trees and flowers, the river and sky. See blue jays, hawks, doves, squirrels go by. Colors and creatures all around. God's presence, our oneness is easily found. The warmth of the sun, the touch of a breeze, the sound of the rain as it falls through the trees. The Sister's House Porch where we are free. Yes, here we are, just free to be. We share food for the body, find balm for the soul. As our hearts join together, feel a little more whole. Whether we are 2 or 3, many more, perhaps just me. Reflection, fellowship, meditation, prayer, whatever we're doing at one with the presence that is always there. The Sister's House Porch where we are free. Yes, here we are, just free to be, where our hearts can share and our souls can be at peace, in love, serenity. So come be. Please sit with me. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Lois. That was beautiful. Just want to take that in for a moment. And then as we leave the porch, we go into the dining room, and the china closet there, you'll see, is filled with some pottery. Actually, I have a piece of it here, my own mug. And one of the women involved with the Sister's House had a friend who did pottery, and she had her make a few mugs for us, like mine. And then we had more made, and that's available for sale. So it says the Sister's House on it. And then those of you familiar with the house, you know that the kitchen is right off the dining room, and lots of activity takes place in there. Yesterday, I was on a Zoom board meeting, and I looked up and I saw someone working at the stove and getting lunch ready for a few of us who were here. Nice surprise. In the kitchen, we have people sign in so that we know who's there. And then there's a little comment book. And Christy, if you'll unmute yourself, Christy's going to share some of the comments that we.
Hi, everyone. So glad to be here today. I'm going to share these with everyone. And then I have a little personal story I want to share after. One of the things that was written was Marie and Kathy working on Celebration of Life collage in the sacred space. Fabulous results. Thank you. Another writing, this house is a haven of peace and serenity. I have had some amazing times in the art room, and one day was totally restored in mind, body, and spirit by meditating in the chapel. Thank you. A much needed support for sober women in Tampa. Another one wrote, my soul is restored. And last, finally found my spiritual home. Personally, I can say that the Sister House, I'm just so grateful for having been able to volunteer shortly before COVID hit, because I would come and be there as a greeter, once or twice a week when my schedule would allow. And I absolutely love being able to have that opportunity, because I got a chance to meet women and share stories with them and hear the sense of peace and healing that was actually happening between women as they would share. I just feel like it's such a sacred space, and I've been coming to the grounds at the Franciscan Center and the Sister's House for many years now, and I feel blessed that this is available for women, and I thank you very much, Kathy, for asking me to share today. Thank you.
Thanks, Christy. And as we move out of the kitchen and into the living room, Jill B is going to tell us about that. So.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jill B, and I'm so glad to be connected with the Sisters House. The living room has had a lot of living in it, and it had a lot of living in it before we moved into it as the Sisters House. One of the first things Kathy and the group had done was have a piece framed of all the sisters who have lived in the sister house over the past 45 years. So you're hanging in the living room and you are with us always in spirit. And boy, if only these walls could talk, because there's been a lot of living in here before we showed up. It was in this room that first committee met to decide about the proposal and getting the word that the proposal was accepted and where we would go from here. I love the part Kathy put out a call to a number of women, and you can draw whatever parallel you want, but 12 women showed up, 12 good women. The energy for me was absolutely energizing. Just in the group, the people, the women who come, how dedicated they are, how they speak from their heart. When we called it the Burning Hearts Committee, we weren't kidding. So a lot of groups started meeting right away. We weren't open but a month, and there were several weekly recovery group meetings here in this particular space. And of course, then COVID came. So a lot of these groups went to Zoom meetings, but that didn't mean that the living stopped in the living room. We have individuals. Kathy's at the house almost every day of the week. And we, as you know, now we have hostesses who come at other times. People can come on an individual basis, or they can come with a friend. We can put 2 or 3 in the living room. People come here to read, to rest, to renew, to write, to have conversations of contact. And that is still going on. So I am delighted to be part of this group. I've been hanging around with you Franciscans for a long time, and it's such a joy to be here. Kathy, thank you for inviting me to be part of this presentation and to see all these fabulous women. And thank you, Franciscans, for making this house available for living to continue on.
Thank you, Jill. My goodness. As we leave the living room, living continues, and we made a decision that the chapel would be used only as a chapel, that we weren't going to turn it into a meeting space or anything. So Pat, would you tell us about the chapel, please?
Yes, be delighted to. And thank you, everyone else. Hard to follow you. As you know, and the sisters and the associates and the women that are with us, the chapel is central to our life. The Blessed Sacrament is central. And the place, as Kathy said, a decision was made that it would continue as a chapel, and it is constantly reserved there. It's a place of quiet. Individuals can gather to pray personally or a few in a group, centering prayer. You see the lovely rug that's on the floor that was donated by one of these sisters. And at 10:30 every day, whoever's in the house, and many of us have our cell phones, our alarms set, that the prayer of St. Francis, the prayer of peace, the peace prayers prayed at 10:30 every day. So after this call, if you'd like to set your alarm for daily 10:30 to pray with us, to join in peace, that would be great. That's it. I just want to add my gratitude for being able to be a part of the Sisters House, to know the very fine women that are there, not only for their own personal healing, but as Kathy had mentioned, reaching out. And to me, it's Christ's presence, or the presence of God in our lives, reaching out to all of those who come to us, who are welcome there. So I just want to thank you, and God bless, continue to bless this effort.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Pat. We appreciate that. That lovely visit to the chapel. And those of you who know the house know when you leave the chapel and turn to the left, excuse me, there's a hallway with the bedrooms, and the first one on the left has been turned into our art room. So Julie is going to tell us about the art room.
Well, hi, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to be involved with the Sisters House and to, just continue in my journey of healing from addiction and to help other women who are affected by addiction. You saw in the last slide the Sybil Macbeth book, Praying in Color, and that's, I read that one day. It's a very short book, and it just really inspired me to do something different in my prayer. I'm a little antsy, and so sometimes, when I do my, Kathy's nodding her head, when I try and sit and pray or contemplate, I start thinking about my grocery list, or I start thinking about, other things. And what this book, Praying in Color, allowed me to do was engage both sides of my brain, where you start doodling and coloring colored pencils or whatever. The reason I'm telling you this is, as we were talking about what we wanted to see at the Sisters House, a place of healing for women, a place of spiritual growth, a place of peace, we decided that a room that would be dedicated to creativity and art and expressing ourselves and possibly, finding new ways to pray. So you see here on the table, we've got the mandalas set out. So the art room is set up with supplies for people to just come in and use individually, however they see fit. There's samples around, so if people aren't sure how to get started, we've got watercolor, we've got beads, we've got like clay that doesn't need to be fired. We have lots of different craft things. And prior to the closing because of the pandemic, we had another woman and I had started a make and take program where every week we were opening up the room and we had a specific art project, or craft project might be a better way to put it, where people could come in, have some fellowship, women could come in, have fellowship, we'd sit around the table, we'd talk, we'd make things. It's a great opportunity to let down your guard, get to know people. The other thing about art is, and I've done some reading on this in order to get ready for the Sisters House art room, is it has a lot of healing properties too, where sometimes we can say things through color, through mediums that we wouldn't be able to necessarily say with words. And so as the Sisters House becomes more available to being open to groups, small groups, we'll have some projects, we'll have some art and craft days available where we're going to make, like I said, bookmarks. We're going to do mandalas. We're going to do praying in color. We're going to do little shrines made out of Altoid tins. We're going to do lots of things. So please come visit.
Thank you very much, Julie. Appreciate that. The art room, obviously during the pandemic, hasn't been used as much, but you still see someone going in every now and then. And Julie is a retired preschool teacher, so she came with lots of paper and materials from her classroom. We're so glad that we caught her on her way out of the classroom. If we walk across the hall, that room has been turned into the library, and Karen is going to unmute and tell us about the library.
Thank you, Kathy. Hello, everyone. I'm really honored to tell you about this very special place. It's one of my favorites in the Sister House and used by so many. The library has been a source of comfort and relaxation for many as they peruse a variety of books donated by the sisters at St. Elizabeth and women involved with the Sisters House. We began with 2 small plastic shelves, but the Galt family generously donated the existing shelving and provided the installation. We continue to receive a wide variety of books ranging from religious spirituality, recovery, fiction, and nonfiction. The addition of the comfortable chair has made it possible to read and relax in a peaceful setting. I am very blessed to be part of this sister's home. It's just the comfort in that room, as you can see Anne sitting there. It's just a wonderful place, especially for two people just to sit and be together. Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks, Karen. Appreciate that. And next door to the library, we were going to have my sister's closet. And the idea behind that was that we would bring clothes and leave them there. If people needed something, they could take it. If we were envisioning the possibility of having some workshops for women that are, learning how to go for interviews, to go back to work and that type of thing, and there would be clothes available. And it was a great idea. But as many of you might know, if you have experience, if you don't have someone that's going to stay on top and organize that, it can become like a landfill. So we did collect some clothes, some very lovely clothes. And what we decided to do was to give up the idea of my sister's closet and donate those clothes to the Center for Women here in Tampa, who they're involved in preparing women for job interviews and such. So it's no longer my sister's closet, but the idea of continuing to share goes on. And then it was very important for us not to be just thinking about ourselves and taking care of ourselves as much as we enjoy this wonderful place, but we wanted to do some outreach. And so we partnered with the Franciscan Center in doing a number of outreach things. And Jill R. Is going to tell us about that.
Hi, everybody. I appreciate being asked to share today. And I'm actually excited and thrilled just to share how busy we have been and all that we've accomplished. I so appreciate and honor the Sisters House and cherish the time and the opportunity that I get to spend there, and really to experience the exceptional women that I'm exposed to and honored to work with on all of these projects. The first one that we jumped into was working in conjunction with the Franciscan Center. We did a food drive for Feeding Tampa, and Spirit Radio also was, they volunteered their time and came and sat a table up in front where the food was delivered. And we actually had 2,352 pounds of food donated and $585 in cash. And then the next drive that we were all so excited. We had anywhere from 8 to 12 volunteers for each project that we've done. We just put it out as an open email to the Franciscans or to the Sisters House. And that many people just automatically signed up. The second one we did for the Humane Society collection, and that too was in conjunction with the Franciscan Center and the Blessing of the Animals. And we got a carload of treats and supplies and $400 in cash for that. So with each thing that we've done, we get, it kind of is that snowball effect, the energy and the excitement of just working together and doing service for others. The next thing we did was in December at the Blessing of the Creche, gifts for mothers and their infants at 2 different pregnancy centers in Tampa, 2 trunk loads of gifts and $325. In February, we did a food drive for St. Vincent de Paul Society, and we collected a full van load as well as $1,570. So with the Spirit Radio, this is one of the fathers that showed up. This is a little boy. He he and his dad and mother and sister. The dad made the comment that he never listens to the radio. And that morning, something just said, turn on the radio. And he heard that we were collecting food for St. Vincent de Paul. They live 30 miles away from the Franciscan Center, and they decided that that was going to be their family outing that day, and they were going to bring food and make their contribution. So, you know, that was a real learning for the family as well as us. You know, that kind of gave us a little boost, and we were so excited just to even hear that little story. So the project that we're working on right now is for April. We're collecting soaps and shampoos and other personal items for the women who are refugees. And we're partnering with an organization that serves migrant and refugee women. And then in June, we have another food drive that is in the works. So I appreciate the opportunity to serve. And, you know, in the end, I'm one of the ones that benefits the most, but I'm just enjoying my opportunity with a great deal of gratitude. So thank you for asking me to share.
Thank you.
And I do want to say one last thing is I'm part of a recovery from those that are affected by someone else's drinking. I'm one of the families and friends of that part of recovery. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jill. We appreciate it. So there's a lovely view of the river and just at the end of our walkway here, and where many of us gather to relax. In a very, just a week from Saturday, we'll be doing a tree planting down not too far from that spot, actually. We've lost a lot of trees on the property here over the past years. And so we're in celebration of Earth Day, we're going to be planting a tree there. Hopefully now with vaccinations and people able to move about the cabin freely, you can tell I used to spend a lot of time on planes. You know, other things will be happening. We have been hoping for small retreats, overnight retreats and that type of thing. In May, Hillsborough House of Hope, which is a halfway house for women coming out of jail. It's a house that's very well established here in Tampa. They're going to be coming for a day-long retreat in May and then an overnight in July. So, you know, things are coming together again. This whole project has just kind of been like an incarnation of, behold, I am doing something new for me, which, as the Alleghenies know, is the theme for our chapter. It's something I wouldn't have dreamed of in, you know, September of 2018. And then it all just kind of fell into place and came about through the dedication of these wonderful women that you've met and the many more behind them. We've stayed in touch with the women associated with the house so far. We have an email list of it's over 90 now, I believe. And in the beginning, we sent out emails frequently, now not as frequently, but periodically to just stay in touch. And so we're very, very grateful to the Franciscan Sisters of Allegheny who are subsidizing this, keeping the lights on and the air conditioning running, and very grateful for that commitment. So it's open to you if you have any questions or comments, or I might have left something out.
I would just like to say it's been very well done. Appreciate everybody who's spoken. I didn't know if you were going to say or invite Tara to say a word. I lost the full screen, so I can't see if there's anybody else missing. But if you could either introduce Tara, or if she wants to say a
Well,
word.
Tara has been behind the scenes pulling up the pictures and only agreed to do it if I promised her she wouldn't have to talk. So, so Pat, she's going to be upset with you, but Tara, unmute yourself and say, what? There you go. Oh yeah, that's one of the reasons.
That's one of the reasons. I'll be quick. Good afternoon, ladies. It is my pleasure to be here. Yes, and I am definitely proud to be a part of this with Sister Kathy.
Kathy, try
treasure any
muting
time
yourself.
with her, and especially here at this.
Go ahead.
And especially any time that I get to spend here at the sister's house with the other lovely women that had the opportunity to speak. And thank you for presenting the sister's house with such a great life.
That's one of the reasons she did it. She wanted to speak.
Thank
And
you
I'm
so
sure there's
much.
probably a way to work that out, but anyway. So thank you, Pat. Tara's been a big part of. We at the very beginning, we put together a brochure about the Sisters House, and Tara and Julie, a big part of pulling that together. It's a very lovely brochure. We have a website, thesistershouse.org. And I don't know if we said it along the way, but one of those things that we did in the October 18 meeting was throw out some suggestions for names and things like Sister Maggie's house or the Ignatia house or things like that had come up. The Women's Place and House of Hope came up, but that was already taken. And then it was in a conversation with another woman who wasn't present that day. And I told her the whole idea behind it. And she said, oh, it should be called the Sisters House in honor of all those sisters who lived there for the 45 years. And then the sisters in recovery who will come. So that's how we got the Sisters ' house as the name. So.
Very inclusive, Kathy. Very inclusive. Does anybody have a question if you want to raise your hand or?
Oh, someone. Okay, thank you, Rosemary. She just, it was just a comment thanking her.
Laura, did I see your hand go up? Unmute yourself, please, Laura.
I'm used to doing these and doing all the talking, so it's nice just to sit back and listen. Thank you for your beautiful presentation. I just wondered how, and maybe you mentioned this, how the women come to you? Is there any kind of application process? Just a little bit more about that.
Sure. No, there's no application process. It's been word of mouth. You know, a lot of the women who are involved have been coming to the Franciscan Center for years, coming to the retreats there. And so it really has just been a word of mouth kind of thing. Helen has asked the question about overnights, and it's not, right from the beginning, we were clear that it wouldn't be residential, like it's not a halfway house, or we didn't want to get into any kind of licensing or that type of thing. It would be, you know, the idea is at some point we'll have small overnight retreats, and then we've already, people have stayed overnight for a night or two. Coming, a woman was here from Sebring. Actually, she's the one in the picture of the chapel in the library, because I'm like, sit down, I'm going to take your picture. Because we had pictures, but we didn't have people in them. And so we wanted some people. So Ian was running around barefooted from room to room with my taking her picture. But Ian lives in Sebring, which is a few hours away. And so she came in, stayed overnight, went on some Zoom meetings here with some women that came for the meetings, and, you know, just got to connect with people. Another woman from Gainesville has been down, a couple of them, to just take an overnight and, and spend some quiet time. So that will be, that'll be a possibility. And as we go forward, the mini retreats. And I don't know if that answered your question, Helen. Okay.
Was that Helen Owens?
Helen Roberts.
Oh, Helen Roberts.
Helen Roberts, McGee,
Sorry. No, well, Helen Owens had her hand up too.
I'm kidding.
Helen, unmute yourself. You have a further question? Unmute.
Okay, can you hear me?
No.
Helen Owens, I didn't know you were.
Yeah, hi
Helen Owens,
Kathy.
go ahead.
Kathy,
Yeah.
I know where I'm gonna head for retiring. Without a doubt, Mary Ann's laughing in the background. She's happy. We know where we'll be. I'm in tears. Thank you. Thank you for your life and your direction and your friendship.
Thank you. We have a few more people who had their hands up. And Margaret Mary?
Yes, I'm sorry that I keep my hand up, but I wanted to be sure to tell all of you that you are a gift to us. And we're very grateful to Kathy for accepting the invitation of the Holy Spirit, really, to start this. So you are a gift to us. And when Kathy quoted our chapter theme, I am doing something new, listen, it fits so perfectly. And we just can't thank you enough for being you and being with us. So take care. I have to go. I'm getting my hair cut. Sorry. Take care, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'd like to call upon Pat Shirley now, if you'd unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I just want to say thank you. And I'm amazed at what you've accomplished in such a short time and also during this COVID time. In some ways, because it was a fallow time, maybe that enriched it, but it's amazing. And certainly I see God's grace moving this project forward. And so please know my gratitude. When I did this, probably was moving. In terms of what you're doing. And this is just a question. Are you going to make this available? I see it's being recorded for
yes, it will be.
Great. Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's why we record it. Okay, Jean, you had your hand up?
Yes. I would just like to add my congratulations and my heartfelt gratitude at what's happening there at the sister's house. I was one of the last of two sisters to live there prior to it becoming vacant and then eventually becoming the sister's house. And during that time of vacancy, I almost feel like the Spirit of God was just hovering over the place, just hovering, drawing new life out of it. And then when Kathy got the go-ahead, I was just so thrilled, but didn't know where it was going to go. But now that I see all that is going on, I am just thrilled. I am just absolutely delighted to see what it's become. Who knew? And I know that, there's so many women have been part of bringing it to life the way it is now and bringing it to what it is. And I just want to congratulate you and tell you that I am just deeply, deeply grateful for what you are doing for women who benefit from being part of this. And, who are healed, who are growing in their spirituality. I couldn't be more thrilled. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have Julie. Cisco, you have your hand up?
Sure. I wanted to tell you guys a story. I didn't know if we were going to show pictures of the bedrooms. On down the hall from the library and the art room, there's bedrooms, and I think about 10 twin beds, throughout. And so before we closed because of COVID, we had about a 2-month period where any of us who were going to meetings, you ask how this is marketed, word of mouth. We had the brochure and we had the website, but anytime we went to any of the 12-step meetings, whatever group we're in, we would make an announcement at the end and say there is this place, this space on the Hillsborough River called the Sisters House. And I go to a meeting in the mornings, and there's a lot of young women there. And so they took the brochure, and the next time I went, a young woman came up to me. She says, I'm a mother of 3 young kids, and I went to the Sisters House and I found a twin bed and I laid down and I took a nap. She said that was the most amazing thing I could have done. And I was so humbled and joy-filled because, sometimes I think, oh, you'll go and you'll have prayer and meditation and you'll, see a burning bush. She needed a nap. So thank you all for providing that for her.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. And Rosemary Randall?
I've been part of things at the Franciscan Center and the Franciscan Associate Group and for over 20 years. And I remember a meeting with one of our associate times about 10 years ago when we were throwing out dreams for the future. And several of us, and I was obviously 10 years younger then, or maybe a little more than 10 years, talked about a place where we could possibly retire to. And then Helen Roberts brought up that same issue. And it's something to think about for the future. But meantime, we have the Sisters House. And my situation, I live in Palm Harbor, Florida, maybe about close to 20 miles away from the center. It used to be no problem for me to drive there for various things, but now it is because of problems with my eyesight, my feet. I'm just hoping that there are ways that we can, those of us who would like to come there and spend a little bit of time can. And you mentioned these beds. Anyway, COVID's changed a lot of things, obviously, but hopefully in the near future, some of those restrictions will change. But it's just such a spiritual place, has been to me for over 20 years. And so many things that happened to me on the grounds with the associate meeting at the Franciscan Center, walking the river. I've been so blessed, and I know many others have too. And it's just a new blessing. New things are happening, and it's so exciting and so grateful for all that's been done and that will still be happening there. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I don't see any other hands raised. And nothing in the chat.
One.
Oh, Pat Clem. Unmute yourself, please.
Thank you. I've spent a lot of time in that house. I never lived there, but I visited a lot, whether for meetings or visiting friends, Kathy and Mary Fleming when she was alive and sick there. And I'd just like to say you've done wonderful work with the building itself. And I know that that's taken the work of a lot of volunteers, but it's beautiful. And your photography of the rooms and everything is just delightful. But that's only a part of what I'm seeing there. And I think that for women in recovery, 12-step programs and meetings are vital. But this place is providing something more. And I think that that's really important because I would presume, because I'm not involved in 12-step programs, but that you can go to a meeting and then you go home back to the busyness of your life. And to have a place where you could go that doesn't require you to be listening or sharing or any of the things that you do at the meetings is just a place to be. and a place where Kathy and the other volunteers are just providing a presence, which I think is really what we have to offer these days to all those in our world. And so I'm just really grateful that this came up and that you responded well, and that all the women that are involved are just so committed to it. And I say thank you to all of you.
Thanks, Pat. Thank you very much. I've said to a few people, especially those of us who have been principals, preparing for this, I felt like I did when I was principal in Utica or Kingston or wherever, and a visitor would come to the school and I would show them around, and showing them around gave me a different view of the school than what I had when I was sitting in my office doing administrative stuff. That you know, see, oh yeah, there's lots of learning going on here, or look at these kids are happy or whatever. And that's how I felt in preparing for this. It's like, oh, this is good, you know. I mean, I think, oh well, I just have it good that I come over here and sit on the porch, and but it you know, so much good has happened. One of the nice things that happened within the first month of our opening is that we invited the sisters from St. Elizabeth's, our next door neighbors, and the sisters from St. Clair's for a pizza party. And so we had a number of the women here who are involved, and then the sisters, and it was just a lovely combination of both kinds of sisters there. And the, you know, it's like we're in Easter time, and it's for me, it's living out that Paschal mystery of out of what is awful. I mean, addiction is awful. People have suffered because of family members being addicted to some substance themselves or some activity. And you know, in 12-step spirituality, it's that admission of powerlessness that has to come first. And then out of that, which seems awful, I know for myself, I was like, no, this is not ever going to be a good thing. But out of that, it's, you know, new life and resurrection can take place when people are willing to surrender and to be honest with themselves and so forth. And so this is kind of a living tribute to that, and in all of us that come here are. So thank you very much. And boy, did we get it in under the hour.
Kathy, I was wondering, I think it was Lois who had the poem.
Maybe we could close with the poem, Lois.
And I was wondering if we could get a copy of that, and we can post it to, I'm sure, do you have it on the website?
You know, this is written for this occasion.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
So my thought was that it would be good. I don't even think we have the Sisters House linked to our congregational website. I'd like us to do that and to have the poem there, and this video can reside there. We can also make it available for the Sisters House. What again is the address for the website?
thesistershouse.org.
.org.
No apostrophe in the
Okay.
website address.
Great. So everybody hopefully has that. And if Lois wants to.
Margaret, could I just say one quick word before you go to that?
Sure.
Can you hear me? Yeah, I just want to go back to the idea of marketing. And I know Kathy spoke and the whole intentionality of being word of mouth, but there is ongoing discernment in Kathy's advisory circle as to after the pandemic, you know, for a larger, for an expansion of it. So it's wonderful, and all the ideas that are coming about and being implemented and are held there for the future just makes it wonderful. So thank you. I just wanted to add that because there's a lot of discernment and a lot of planning.
Thank you, Pat.
Okay, hold on.
I would like to thank before the poem, because I think the poem would be a very good ending. So, Kathy, thank you so very much, you and your lovely women. What a marvelous afternoon for us. I lived at the Franciscan convent for 12 years, and honestly, from the pictures, I don't think I would recognize it. What a transformation. It's absolutely beautiful, much more beautiful than when we lived there. So thank you very much. But I love the idea, as Pat says, just a place where people come in just to be and to be nurtured, to be supported, to feel accepted. You offer all of that, the presence that you offer there. So thank you very, very much. Thank you for your passion and your commitment to this ministry and for your inspired and creative ways to keep the Franciscan charism, the mission, the convent alive in spite of all of the lockdowns and the restrictions because of the COVID. So I wish you all good health, strength, and guidance as you continue to encourage and instill confidence and a sense of wholeness in all who come to the Sisters House or who connect to the Sisters House. So thank you once more.
Thank you, Odette. You've been very, very supportive. And Odette is on that email list, and I always get a comment from her. So thanks, Odette.
Thank you.
So Lois,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you all so much. This has been wonderful. The Sisters House Porch. Come be, come sit with me in this place of peace and serenity. The Sisters House Porch, where we are free. Yes, here we are, just free to be. Let's share some time on this hallowed ground, a kaleidoscope of God's sights and sounds. Trees and flowers, the river and sky, see blue jays, hawks, doves, squirrels go by. Colors and creatures all around, God's presence, our oneness is easily found. The warmth of the sun, the touch of a breeze, the sound of the rain as it falls through the trees. The Sisters House Porch where we are free. Yes, here we are, just free to be. We share food for the body, find balm for the soul. Our hearts join together, feel a little more whole. Whether we are 2 or 3, many more, perhaps just me. Reflection and fellowship, meditation and prayer. Whatever we're doing, at one with the presence that is always there. The Sisters House Porch where we are free. Yes, here we are, just free to be. Where our hearts can share and our souls can be at peace in love. Ah, serenity. So come be. Please sit with me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. As I said, Lois and Jill wrote that just for this occasion. I just heard it for the first time the other day.
Wonderful.
Great.
Very good. Thank you all for coming on, for being with us. We thank Kathy and Odette and Tara, Pat, everyone else who participated. We will have the recording. We'll make it available on our FSA website, and we can link it with the Sisters House website. So we'll get a lot more information out. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
God bless all.
Blessing.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.